All right, welcome to another episode of the Leander Scoop podcast. And today I am here with Holly Bentley, and she is the owner of Breathe, Flow, Heal in Cedar Park. And thanks for being here, Holly.
Thanks for having me, TJ.
Of course, of course. So why don't you give us a little background on yourself, as a person, as a business person, and your history here in town as well.
Okay, yeah. So personally, I am a mom of three girls. I have a 10-year-old and soon to be 8-year-old twins. I have been in Texas since high school. I went to Pflugerville, so I consider myself pretty native. This is home. In my 20s, I moved to San Antonio, met my husband, and we came back to Austin in 2010 and bought a house in Cedar Park where we are now in 2013. So we've been in this area for a long time, seen it grow, which has been really cool. Career wise, my background was in finance and mortgage. So I had done mortgage lending, auto finance, and then for 13 years, I was the director of an account manager department where we were teaching credit unions how to use a leasing type software. So I put in my notice with my job last July, left at the end to complete my corporate career, jump ship, take this big leap of faith, and start my own business, which I just recently launched in January.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's impressive. Yeah, I know making that leap can be scary yet also extremely exciting, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
okay, so tell us. So, first of all, it sounds like your background is completely different than what you're doing now.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe explain that and how that came about. But yeah, so tell me about Breathe, Flow, Heal, which is your company and what you guys do, and how you got into that. Because again, it sounds so different than what you were doing.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start there. Let's talk about how I found it. A little bit of background on what brought me to the practices that we do, which we can go into more detail about exactly where they are. It's spinal flow and somatic breathwork. So I'm certified in both of those modalities. But how I found it was when I was pregnant with my twins. So that was over 8 years ago. I got really big and I was having a lot of back problems. My sacrum bones started turning. I was getting my discs were being pushed on, a ton of back pain. I was bedridden for the past 2 months. So I did 7 years of chiropractic, massage therapy, physical therapy, anything that I could do to try to help. And a couple years ago, I got my x-rays and they were worse. And I love my chiropractor and my massage therapist. They're here in Cedar Park and I would recommend them to anyone. But I was shocked at why my back wasn't getting better. And I was in pain. I had to be careful how I lift things. My husband had to carry the laundry basket for me, and I couldn't even pick up my twins past age of 3, which was really sad. So I started doing a lot of research online and I found books like The Body Keeps the Score and books by Dr. Joe Dispenza, the Heal documentary. And I started realizing that the reason that the pain in my body wasn't going away was because of emotional trauma that was stuck in my body. Both of my births were very traumatic. I won't go into detail about them here, but people can see them on my social media with trigger warnings because I try to tell pregnant moms not to watch those because I don't want them to be scared. I feel like I'm probably a rare case. Both births were traumatic. And then in 2021, I went through a huge bout of grief within 1 year. I lost my mom, my grandma, my great aunt, and my father-in-law. So I was realizing that my body was not in a state of healing and I wasn't getting better because my body was not helping me along. It wasn't contributing to the massage therapy and the chiropractic. It was in a state of illness and fight or flight. So I started researching online, and that's how I found Spinal Flow. When I first found it, July 2023, there was not anybody in the state of Texas that did it. So I found the next closest thing, which we do have some chiropractors in Austin that practice network spinal analysis, or they call it network care. And I went to my first session with a chiropractor on that and started bawling my eyes out. Did not expect this emotional reaction, released a lot of emotional trauma just in that one session. And I felt different that day. And my right hip pain went away after one session. That is also not
Wow.
very common, but I knew that I had found the thing to heal me, and it was amazing. I think I did about 5 more sessions of that. Lower back pain went away, and I was like, "This is amazing. I want to do this. I want to do this for people." But I was not about to go to chiropractic school as a mom, restarting my career, and so I was looking for the next best thing, and that's how I found Spinal Flow.
Very interesting. Okay. Um, so what is that? So you found it. What does that mean? So um, yeah. Tell me more about what you're actually doing today.
Okay. Yeah. So I found it because I was searching online. The algorithm popped it up in my Instagram feed. And it is very similar to Network Spinal as far as what it does for a person's body, as far as the healing technique. So it was created, and now there are, I want to say, about 3 certified practitioners, including me in the Austin area. So it was brought to the US just a few years ago by a chiropractor in Australia. So she took network spinal care and she incorporated things like cranial sacral, kinesiology, and she kind of made it her own. And then she decided she wanted to teach as many people as possible to do something similar that could help people because, she wanted to make sure a lot of people knew about it because a lot of people don't know even about
Hmm.
network spinal care, right? So Dr. Carly Axford in Australia, she created Spinal Flow as a way to calm and regulate your nervous system to enhance your body's self-healing ability to get you into a parasympathetic state and to regulate you to where you're in a healing mode instead of fight or flight. You're in rest and digest. So that's kind of what parasympathetic means.
Very interesting. Okay. So with what you do now, when you say, spinal flow, again, can you explain what this process is? Because it sounds really intriguing, but like what is it literally? Like when you say you went to the network one, the first session, like what did they do different physically or mentally, whatever it is? What is different about it that you think is what's making it work and why you got into this?
So both they can create an emotional release. Spinal flow is more hands on the body. So what it looks like is practitioners are trained to utilize access points on the sacrum bone, on the coccyx. So we're on the tailbone, the sacrum, and on the cranium. So different access points on the skull. And so just like with network spinal, you're laying face down on a massage table. But when you're on the massage table, I'm pretty much on your body the whole time in these different spots. So we're trained to find these access points. And when we're holding this spot, we're just sitting there pressing on your tailbone in the right spot. And this triggers the communication system to go to your brain and enhance the flow of your cerebral spinal fluid, which is going to calm your nervous system and it's going to release blockages in our spine. And we all have these blockages because we're all under an extreme amount of stress every day, right? And it's not just mental overload like crazy drivers in the news and work and kids. It's physical stress because we have, accidents, injuries, bad posture, sitting in a desk all day. It's chemical stress from the foods that we consume and medication and air, water, everything. And then it's also the emotional stress, which is where, that helped me the most. It's not just a big trauma that we've gone through, like me with my birth trauma or grief. It could be just little things like getting really bad news and not being able to properly process it at the time. So we put it to the back of our mind and it literally stores in our body. Like we all know that stress creates illness. So it's not too far fetched to think that stress is stored in our body and our spine. And that's why you see people as they get older, it's not just tension and gravity, but they start getting that hump in their back and their posture starts to hunch over. And that's because of all the tension that they've carried in their life, pushing their spine together, it creates the blockages. So when I feel my kids' spine, like they're kind of limber, each vertebrae moves like this. But whenever I work on an adult spine, especially if they have a lot going on, I'm helping somebody with fibromyalgia, somebody with MS, or they've just had a ton of grief recently, their spine is hard. And I can feel where those blockages are in their system. So what those blockages are doing is, our skull protects our brain, our spine protects our spinal cord. And if you see a diagram of a spinal cord, there are nerves coming out of our spinal cord that go to every single organ, cell, and tissue in our body, right? It's our main communication system, our brain and our spinal cord. And if there's blockages that are pressing on the spinal cord, that's constricting the nerves that are going to all those organ cells and tissue. So they're not getting that life force energy and the regeneration of cells and keeping us in a healthy state. That constriction is like stomping on a water hose, and we're not being able to freely flow and be in a good healing state because we're in fight or flight. And you've heard the story, like if we were running from a tiger back then, our body's not going to be thinking about digesting and being able to create life, which is why maybe we're seeing more issues with women struggling, with infertilization, things like that, because our bodies are holding on to so much stress. So it's really just a very gentle modality where we're putting your body into a regulating state, increasing cerebral spinal fluid, releasing those blockages, just to put you in a healing state for whatever your body needs to heal.
Yeah. Wow. That's complex, but I think it makes so much sense. I know a lot of people who are kind of really what I would consider ahead of the curve on a lot of things. And I haven't heard this exact term, of what you're doing, the spinal flow, but I know these are the types of things that they're doing. And I feel like this is just not, again, the general concept, not the specific thing you're doing, but even just in general, is just not well known among most people. Why do you think that is? Or, why is this something? I mean, it does feel like it's all the wealthy people seem to know about it, right? And then the regular people don't. Like, why is that?
Well, I'm getting people from all walks of life. Like, I was trying to kind of focus on moms that have experienced trauma because I'm in a lot of like Cedar Park mom groups and things like that. And I feel like they could relate to me, which I see them a lot. But I'm getting people of all ages, men, women. I haven't worked on children yet, but you can, because with this, there are no contraindications. It's just your body doing what it needs. I'm not healing you like with Reiki or anything. Like, I am just putting your body into a healing state, and it is self-healing it. But I think what has happened over time is that we, in the Western culture, we've gotten away from any type of Eastern healing, and more people are now becoming open to holistic measures where they're going to acupuncture. Breathwork is my other modality. More people are doing that in local yoga studios, and we can talk about the benefits of that as well. But I think that we've all just been trained for so long that if we have an ailment, we go to a doctor, the doctor prescribes medicine, and it heals that thing. But holistic, the meaning of it is a whole body, like if we're trying to get our whole body into a healing state where it can do what it's naturally meant to do. Like, our bodies have this innate intelligence where it can heal a cut, it can digest our food. We still breathe while we're sleeping. We don't have to think about all of that stuff. We are naturally usually in a healing state when we're not under these loads of stress. So I feel like more people are realizing that, and they're looking for alternative things. And everyone that I talk to about spinal flow, they're like, that makes so much sense. The only people that don't believe in it are if they're like, I don't think emotional trauma is causing my pain. And I'm like, okay, well, then you don't believe that stress causes illness, because we've seen that, heart disease and most of the illnesses today are caused by stress. So why wouldn't emotional trauma be a part of that? But I think people are becoming really open-minded to it, which is great, because I've seen great things with it so far. And like I said, it was the magic pill for me,
Yeah. No, absolutely. So tell me more about like your actual business itself. So first of all, do you have a retail location, and how do people, how does it work?
Yeah, so people book a session with me. I have 2 locations right now. One is in North Austin, and it's near Pond Springs and Anderson Mill, just so I can kind of draw some of the Austin crowd. But the Cedar Park location is here off of Whitestone in the behind Torchy's in that business park there. I work Mondays and Wednesdays out of what they call the energy room. And this energy room is really cool. They have these custom built screens. Let me see if I can show you this little picture of like these multicolored screens like that. And so I have a bunch of pictures on my Instagram and information on that, but it's just these scalar waves that are emitted from these screens, and they're faster than the speed of light. So they can go through your body to help cell rejuvenation, inflammation, pain. It can help kind of drop you into a calming state, and you can feel calmer just walking into this place. So I've been working with them to actually do spinal flow sessions in that room. So people's natural healing ability that I'm awakening in them is being amplified by these screens. So I'm there Mondays and Wednesdays, working with them. And then I'm Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at my Pond Springs location. And so when people go book, they can choose which one is more convenient. And the initial assessment that they do, I actually will have them do an intake form to tell me about some of the stuff going on with their body. They will check off any ailments and, whether it's insomnia, TMJ, arthritis, like whatever's going on in their body. And then we'll go through maybe some past traumas that they want to share so we can see if any of that kind of comes to the surface to be released. And then we don't talk once we go through the assessment. And I show them where their blockages are in their spine. I can show them, and sometimes it's related where the blockages is related to their actual symptom. If there's something going on, with their foot, there's going to be a blockage in their sacrum because it's connected to the nerves down there. Or if there's a thyroid issue, sometimes it's a little bit behind their chest and like the T1 area up in the below the cervical spine. So it's just kind of a lot of times whatever they're dealing with, those blockages will correlate, which is awesome to see. So we don't talk while they're on the table. We want them to kind of drop in and be in a meditative state. They do about a 40-minute session. And then I'll show them afterwards where I can feel the tension in their body and blockages decreasing. So every time they come in, it's a cumulative session where it's just releasing more and more layers of stress, relaxing their body so that when those blockages get removed, it holds in their spine. So eventually we want them after multiple sessions to graduate and just have to come in for maintenance when those blockages are gone. And I've had a few people that I had worked on last year before I launched my business that did some sessions, and one did 8 sessions, the other did 14 sessions, and we can talk about their results. And they were like, I don't think I need to come anymore. Like, I'm not having the same issues. And that's our goal, unlike other places you go to where you're going to see, your blood pressure doctor forever. You're going to go to the chiropractor forever. Like, we're trying to get your body into a state of healing where it holds. So yeah, that's what it looks like for a 30-minute session. Right now, the breath work piece of it, because people can have more of an emotional release, we're just doing those in group events. We can, by request, we can do just like a one single one-on-one session, but because sometimes people can get loud, and we can talk about why that is, we can not do it at those locations right now. So we're just doing events on the weekend, which we have one group breathwork event coming up on April 13th. So if people get to see this before then, and if not, we'll probably have more in the future because they've been really successful.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I definitely want to learn about breathwork. Let's talk about this. So from my perspective, and probably I imagine a lot of people listening to this have probably heard the term. I know people who do it and swear by it. I hear about it all the time in some of these communities I'm in of people who are really into this stuff, and they absolutely love it. Yet I still don't really know what it is. I kind of think I do, but I'm not actually sure. So I think a lot of people listening to this would say, give me the details. What is it? I understand it's like focusing on your breath. Okay, what more than that? Like help me understand what it is and the benefits of it.
Some people are like, you're teaching people how to breathe?
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Learned that a little while ago. Yeah,
right?
I think it's a little more complicated.
Exactly. So the reason that I decided to trade at Breathwork is because I noticed when I was doing spinal flow on people, there were still some people that were still holding back on the table. Like, even though I was hitting the right spots, like they were still tensing up, and they were just so disconnected from their body that I knew that they needed a way. And so eventually I want to pair the two where they can do a solo breathwork session, go right into spinal flow. Like, that's my goal as my business grows, to help people as much as possible. And breathwork, I've seen actual in my own body, more pain release from that, tension release. It's just created a lot of clarity. But what it is, I facilitate somatic breath work, and soma is the Greek word for body. So the whole point of it is trying to get us out of the thinking mind and dropped into our body. Because a lot of people, we know the benefits of meditation, right? It's been around for thousands and thousands of years, but they say, I can't, I'm just too busy. I have, my phone's still ringing. I have a to-do list, all these things. But if you can turn off your brain by focusing on your breath, you can restore balance in your breath. You can make sure that you're more connected. It has a ton of great physical benefits as well. But the way that it works on your brain is it helps you to really release stress and emotional blockages by turning off what we call the default mode network. And that is the piece of our brain that keeps us in overthinking, in overanalyzing, in the stress patterns that we've always had since we were programmed as children, right? So we always have these thoughts that loop in our brain, even subconsciously. We're not even aware of them throughout the day. So what breath work does is it gets you into a state where you're so focused on your breath, because we first upregulate your breath a little bit, that it starts to get you kind of heightened to where you can have a release of some sort. Some people, they just breathe and they just go really deep within. Some people, they'll have sadness come out and they'll start crying during the session. Some people, anger will come out and they'll be like grunting and growling and banging on the floor. Some people will start laughing. I've had a lady that her last session she did with me, she was cracking up hysterically. She had this epiphany about her abandonment issues. And she was like, my pain is gone. I don't need to come back to you anymore. I'm like, fantastic. That's great. But so I joke around with people when they're like, is it okay if I get loud? Because I'd done breath work before and I screamed my head off. I'm like, I tell my family I am an adult temper tantrum specialist. So that's what they need to do, because they don't get the chance to do that in their everyday lives. They don't get the chance to scream and cry when they lose somebody. They don't get the chance to get bad news in the grocery store and throw a fit on the ground like a child. We are all always buttoned up, shoving stuff down, trying not to feel these huge emotions. And so when you get in a place where you're with a facilitator, we're talking you through it, we have music going, you're in a safe space to release that, it's huge. Some people never get that in their life, to get that out. And I've had the quietest, meekest, sweetest women come and sit down and be pounding on their chest and screaming. So some people are like, I don't want to do that in front of a bunch of people. But when you're in a room with other people that are doing the same, and you have that community and you feel, oh, this person's giving me permission to release, it's huge for people, and that the first time that I did it, I was just shocked at how much better I felt, the stress relief. I have friends that have gone to therapy and they're like, I can't stand this because I can't handle all the stuff that's coming up. It's too much. I don't want to be thinking about this when I can barely handle my stressful job. So they come to me for breath work instead, and they don't have to sit there and tell the story and relive the trauma and do the practices to rewrite the neural pathways. They just get on the ground and scream and cry and punch a pillow, and they're like, whew, okay, that's gone, and they can let it go. And so those feelings that we've been suppressing for who knows how long, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they get to come up, be felt, and be let go. So it's not just the point of like releasing them. It's like they needed to be felt and let go, and someone is giving them the permission and the container to do that, which is why it's so beautiful. But if someone's not comfortable in the group experience, if they don't think that would contribute to them being able to release, then they could always do, a solo session with me upon request. We can do that too. But it is a beautiful thing. Yeah. And it's been around for so long because it works, it helps so many people, and it is becoming more popular, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It really does seem like a lot of these things that I think they've been around, like you said, for a very long time, but they were kind of in these weird corners, and most people, again, just kind of either never even heard about it, or they heard about it and it was like, oh, those, people in the corner. And then it's slowly, I feel like, becoming more and more mainstream, not just what we're talking about, but a lot of things that were similarly seen as kind of in the corner are now becoming more mainstream, right? Like psilocybin being, I don't know if you consider that the same, but I feel like it's the same thing of like, it's technically been around a long time, just people didn't want to think about it that way, and now they're much more open to it. Is that what you're
definitely.
seeing?
Definitely. In fact, I've already started talking to some talk therapists, people that do internal family systems and cognitive behavioral therapy, because we're seeing that there's kind of a gap in between. I have people coming to me and talking to me about big problems, and I'm like, okay, I don't have verbal advice I can give you, but I can get you on a mat and you can scream it out and to feel better. Where people go to them and they are having all these things come up and then they can't handle it. It's kind of overwhelm. Where with breathwork and spinal flow, neither of those things are going to be too much for somebody, because it really is just their body putting them into a state of what they can handle.
Hmm.
So it's a beautiful thing. And so I've had a couple therapists that I've met with that are going to start sending clients to me when they get stuck, when they are frustrated, when they feel like quitting therapy. And so I feel like it's a really great contribution that even more, people as, psychotherapists, psychologists are realizing. And just like you said, there are even therapists out there that are doing these webinars on psilocybin and other modalities, because they're realizing that there's more to what our bodies can do and what they need.
Yeah, I love that. Complementary to some of the more traditional ways that people have thought about. It's not necessarily one or the other. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. So tell me, you'd mentioned some success stories, whether for the spinal flow or the breath work. I'd be curious to hear a little more detail. Obviously, whatever, without names or whatever you can't share, but what can you share about how this has helped people specifically?
Yeah, well, I mentioned the one lady who was laughing during the breath work, and she laughed at spinal flow too, which was the first time for me with that. More people will cry or just be completely still and be kind of in like a in between sleep and awake, nice little euphoric thing. But that lady, I loved working with her because she had been in a car accident and she had shoulder pain. She had gone to the energy room and they actually referred her to me because they knew what I was doing before I was working out of their space. And I only did 3 sessions with her. I did 2 spinal flow sessions and a breathwork session. And, she sat down and was telling me about her childhood trauma, her abandonment issues. And then when she had her first laughing fit, she sat up and she said, I just realized that everything I've told you is just a story that I've been carrying for 50 years. It has been a part of my identity, and I keep talking about it and looping it and reliving it. And there's no reason to do that anymore. There's no reason for me to even think about what happened when between the ages of 3 and 15, so she came to me 3 times. And then the third time she said, my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. Do I have to keep coming? And I said, no, just come to me if you feel any pain again. And that was, I think, December. I worked on her 3 times. And then I checked on her in February just to see how she was doing. And she said the pain hasn't come back. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. So that was one success story. Another one, a friend of mine, her mom was having really bad back pain and hip pain. I think she did 13 or 14 sessions with me. She was great at coming regularly once a week. And I just saw her at my kid's soccer game on Saturday, since my friend was there with her soccer kid. And she came up to me and said, Holly, I have to tell you, I didn't even realize that my back pain and hip pain were gone. Because when you're living with pain for so long, you can feel it. It's there screaming at you. But when it suddenly goes away and you're just going through life and you're like, wait a minute, where was this pain that I had?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost, you don't recognize your body and you don't recognize that it's gone. So I hadn't seen her since December. She was trying to see me and she got busy. And so that was another thing where I was just so happy. And then, she was dealing with some grief and stuff in her life. And she texted me the other day and said, it was so great to see you. And I started crying the other day and realized I haven't cried in months either, which is a good thing. She had been crying and dealing with the grief, but she didn't even really need to anymore. And when she does, that's great. She can let it out, but just little things like that. And then, I have another friend who's dealing with cancer. He was someone who was one of the main motivators of me, trying to help. And I did a bunch of sessions, maybe 8 or 10 on him, and his cancer didn't go away, but he was able to lower a lot of the medications that he was on, thyroid medicine, his blood pressure medicine. What else did he have? Acid reflux. And I always am curious if somebody's taking multiple medicines. I think he's still on his diabetes, but no more blood pressure, no cholesterol, no thyroid, and no acid reflux. If he was taking all of those with the diabetes medicine and the cancer treatment, I'm like, that's a lot for somebody's body to hold chemically. And I always wonder if a ton of pharmaceuticals are something that can contribute to a cause of cancer, And so I was so happy when he got off a lot of his medications, because that just gives him an even better chance of beating the cancer and healing from it. So we never know what our bodies can do. Like I said, I'm working with a lady. I just started with fibromyalgia, and she's been just being able to really handle stress and her illness better. And then my lady with MS, she's on a cane, and she is walking really slowly, dragging her leg. And then after she does a session, she's very stable and she barely needs her cane. So I'm hoping and praying and seeing if maybe one day we can help her get rid of that cane. Obviously, we have, no promises. I'm not a doctor or magician or healer, but we
Hmm.
never know what our bodies are capable of.
Yeah.
And I truly believe from everything that I read that we can heal from anything.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So, is this something for anybody who wants to try this out with you? Is this as simple as just like, you just book an appointment? I think for people like me who are used to the medical system, it's always like such a nightmare, right? Of how do I do this? And you have to get approval and you have to do, is that like all not a thing, right? Can somebody just find, go on your website and just book with you? And that is just that
Yep.
simple?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
simple. So my website is breathe-flow-heal.com. And in the top right corner on your phone, there's like the little hamburger menu, or on the website, it's just at the top right corner. It says make appointment. You just go there. And the first session, it'll say initial assessment and session for new clients. And that's the first one that you'd book. And then once they come to me and do their assessment and their first treatment, then we can talk about a treatment plan. Somebody that's dealing, with something more serious as far as an illness goes, we'd want to see them more often. Somebody that's just having, some pain, we can maybe see them just once a week. But we do usually want to see somebody as close together as possible. Like I just had a lady that drove in from Rockport to stay in town with her son to see me because she found out about me. She's 83 years old, had back issues, and she saw me 6 times within 12 days. She's every other day she was coming to me because she just wanted to get as much
Hmm.
accumulative care as possible because it stacks on each other. It's helping your body relax and stay in that parasympathetic rest and digest non-stress. So yeah, simple as that. Going to my website, booking, and then I'm always open to phone calls if somebody wants to call and has any questions. But as far as me telling them, can I help you with your issue? That I'd need to see them in person and see what's going on in
Hmm.
their body. And some people will say, "Oh, well, can this help with my vertigo? Can this help with my TMJ?" I'm like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna pinpoint a specific thing. I'm gonna get your body to where it's in a self-healing state, and then your body is going to heal whatever it is. It could heal your knee pain when you're coming in because of your vertigo. You never know. So
Hmm.
but it's
Yeah.
great to see when people are like, oh, I didn't even realize I was sleeping better. And that's the first
Hmm.
thing that happens is lower stress, less tension in the back, better sleep. And everybody wants that, right?
Absolutely. 100%. No, that is amazing. Um, Okay, well, let's talk. I'm actually curious a couple things. You being in Cedar Park, like, let's talk a little bit about here. Now, you said you've been here since 2013. Is that what you said? So that's a long time compared to most people, right? Since so many
Yeah.
people seem to have come around COVID or after, so that's a long time. What are your thoughts on how much growth has happened in our area? You've seen it probably more than most. How do you feel about that? Any specific thoughts from somebody who's been here and gone through it specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool to see just like, some of our favorite restaurants around here, like we're non-existent. I don't even know if the Costco on Whitestone was there whenever we got here. And it's been really cool to see. And the one thing that I really notice is one of our traditions in town is the Cedar Park tree lighting that we do every December. And it was funny to see how small that was when we started. We go in every single year, even before we had kids, since we moved. And every year it's bigger and bigger. And I was in line with a lady one time and she's talking. I'm like, oh, where are you from? And she's like, California. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you don't have to be scared. But, there's some people that are like, oh my gosh, all the people coming here from other states. But I think it just makes our town more diverse and more exciting. And I don't know if we would have gotten all the cool new stuff that we're getting, like the development they're doing on Bell and the new Cedar Park Library, if
Mm-hmm.
we didn't
Yep.
have the people coming here. So the growth of people gets the growth of all of the opportunities and the cool things we get in this town. So I've liked it. I think it's cool that I've been able to see how different it is over time.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Speaking of that, what are your thoughts? We went around the time that it opened, that new Cedar Park Library, which is like amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's the playground is great. The inside, the library, they've got a playground inside, outside. It's brand new. It's massive. They've got, I don't know, is a really cool spot, especially when you have young kids.
Yes, it is. But we had heard, since I'm in the mommy Facebook groups, right, that it was crazy crowded. So I think it
Mm,
opened in November and we
yeah.
just barely went like 2 weeks ago. And we
Oh,
went
okay.
9 a.m. on Saturday morning as soon as it opened and there was
Hmm.
nobody there. So that's the secret. You got to go when they're
Yeah.
open. Hopefully I'm not giving it away and now it's going to
Yeah.
be crowded then. But I know some moms that are kind of scared of the playground. It's so pretty and so cool, but it's a giant bird and
Hmm.
their kids go inside and they can't see them. So
Yeah.
It's really pretty, but yeah, that was one thing I noticed. Some of the moms with smaller kids were complaining about, but I think the age starts at like 5. But I
Mm,
highly recommend it. It's a gorgeous
yeah.
space. My kids love it. It's got some like thinkery type of
Hmm.
little activities in there, which is really fun.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That is such a cool addition to the community. What about what restaurants? Like what's your favorite places in town? What's your favorite thing to get there? Like what do you love?
Okay, so my favorite, which is kind of a staple because on Monday nights, kids eat free with adult meals, is Blue Corn Harvest. So that one,
Yep.
and they have 3 locations. There's one in Cedar
Hmm.
Park, one Leander, one Georgetown.
They
So
have
if
one in
y'all
Round Rock too now.
Oh yeah.
There's 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they've been great. Like whenever the pandemic happened, they were doing a lot of those family meals and I was going there so much just to try to make sure that they stayed open because it's been a perfect meeting spot for business lunches and our kids love it there. I always get the avocado beet salad with salmon. That's my favorite go-to. So that's one of my
Nice.
favorite places. We have gone to the Peach Tortilla a few times since that opened. That's delicious. We haven't done snooze yet. We're not huge on going out for breakfast, but we need to do that because we were
Hmm.
excited that those came here. And then my favorite place that I've loved since they opened is Sushi Fever. And I keep seeing people on the Cedar Park foodies group asking for the best sushi. And I'm always like, Sushi Fever, number one. Like, and, people shout out the other places around here, but I just think that, I don't know, their quality is the best in town. So
Really
those are my 2 top go-to.
nice. Nice. Yeah, is Sushi Fever? I haven't been there. Is that the one? Is that by like in the Costco, like right next to Costco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind
Okay.
of behind the BJ's a little bit
Yeah.
and
Yeah. By
behind
the
the
BJ's.
hamburger.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
We go to the kava. I love the kava right there. So
Oh, yeah.
it's my way of feeling like I'm being healthy,
Right?
eating out. Yeah. What about anything else that you love to do around here specifically? I know you said you have 3 kid. Would you say 10 and 8 year olds, 10 and 2 8 year olds?
Yep.
Anything specific that you love about our area that you do with the kids?
Yeah, we like Spare Birdie a lot. That's
Okay.
fun where we
Yep.
go because they, love all the different games. It's not just virtual golf, which my husband loves virtual golf, obviously, but they have like a zombie dodgeball and baseball and all these really cool games in the virtual bays that you can get, and
I
they
did
have
not know
music
that.
there. Yeah, it's
I knew
really
they had the golf thing. I didn't know. Would you say zombie
zombie
dodgeball?
dodgeball. So it's an
Okay,
actual like dodgeball you're throwing at the screen, which is fun. It's totally unique because
that is
they don't have
awesome.
that at like any of the golf places. So
Yeah.
that's one place that we've gone to that's really fun. We love all of the walking trails, and my kids love going to like Brushy Creek Sports Park and running around kicking the soccer ball there because the twins are soccer players, so they get to practice out there. The trails are gorgeous, and when it rains, there's that little waterfall by the YMCA. That's kind of a little secret thing because it only happens every so often when we get a bunch of rain. And then another place I just found that I totally want to shout out is this store off of Vista Ridge called Kind Folk Apothecary. It's so cute. I had no idea it was there. And I was just kind of looking for new stuff around here. And they did a little vendor market last weekend. And it's like all natural herbs and loose leaf teas and essential oils and balms and crystals and stuff. So it's kind of like a little like natural, spiritual, holistic store. So it kind of goes along with what I'm
Hmm.
doing. And I think they have like a little room too that they have people that do massages and tarot readings and stuff like that. So we went to their market with the kids and that was really fun. But yeah, that's
Nice. That's
some of the stuff
awesome.
we do around town.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's some great suggestions there. Yeah, I haven't heard of some of those things you mentioned, so that's always beneficial for me to learn about that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
especially Spare Birdie. We've been meaning to go there as a family. The one time we tried, it was booked, and so we didn't. But I never thought that the golf area would be fun for my kids who are young, right? So that basically it can be fun for young kids with that, right? Did you say
Yeah.
that baseball
Definitely.
too?
Yep. Baseball on
Okay,
the
so
tee.
okay, so like Tebow, so kids can do those and knock off. Okay, I
Yeah.
definitely need to get over there then. Awesome. Well, Holly, tell me again. Tell everybody about the event that you're doing and what exactly that is, where and when.
Sure. Yeah. So this is our second one. It's at the Energy Room. So we're doing, it's four modalities combined. I partner with Sound Healing of Austin, Belinda Morris. She does sound bowls. So the way that it works is we have 10 recliners and then four yoga mats on the floors. You can choose the price point between the two. You lay down in a recliner. We do like a little bit of a presentation about the benefits of the modalities. And then we do breath work. When they're coming down from the breath work and laying in the cozy recliners, they get sound healing, which is the sound bowls, Tibetan bowls, really relaxing, healing sound frequencies is beautiful. When I am guiding the breath work, Belinda does Reiki. So she's going around and doing hands on Reiki. If somebody doesn't want that, they can always opt out of it. But that's the third thing. And then just being in the energy room with the EE systems, the energy enhancement systems, they're getting that benefit as well. So it's a 2-hour event with four modalities packed in. And I've seen the combination of like breath work and sound healing or breath work in the energy rooms, but all four of people have had these great epiphanies. Like I had this lady that her husband passed away last year and she was married for 52 years. So she was in her 70s. And she said, I have not realized that since last May when he passed, I couldn't really find myself. My identity was so in him that I just felt kind of stuck and I was idling. And after this, I think I know what I want out of life. I still have life to live. I want to make more friends. I want to travel. And I hear these stories after this 2-hour event and I'm like, this is crazy. It's amazing. But it's just that sometimes people just need like a pattern interrupt and something big to kind of shake up their lives, you know? And I think that that is it. So it's April 13th, Sunday, April 13th. It's the second one that we've done. So hopefully we'll get to do another one in May or June. We're hoping to start doing them monthly. It's 3 to 5 p.m. Right now, there's only 5 recliner seats left as of today, April 2nd, and 3 yoga mat spots left. But like I said, if you miss it, hopefully you can just get on a waiting list. Just let me know, and I'll make sure that you know about the next one you get onto our newsletter.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, tell everybody again how to find you. What was the website again, and how to get on your newsletter? That sounds like the smart way to do it is get on your newsletter, so it comes to that. Right?
There's a contact form on my website, so you can go in there and just say that you wanted to put in your email address and say you want to get on the newsletter. And the website is breathe-flow-heal.com. And then my Instagram and Facebook are Breathe, Flow, Heal, all one word together. But you can, link to them from my website. But like I said, if you have any questions, you want to just do a phone call, or if you aren't ready to do a session, but you just want to come meet with me and have an assessment done, that's only a $25 fee just for me to spend an hour with you and just to kind of check your back and see what's going on in your body. And then you can decide if you actually want to go forth and do the session.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. No, that's so kind of super low risk to see if this is right for you. Cause I imagine a lot of people are like, well, sounds great, but I don't know. And they're kind of on the fence. So that way it's easy to kind of learn more and see directly if it's right for you.
That's awesome. Definitely.
That's great. Well, Holly, this has been awesome. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and what you're doing, which is really, really interesting. Hopefully some people can reach out to you and we can have you back at some point. I want to hear some success stories of people who found you from here and that you were able to help.
Yeah, I'd love to share. Thank you for the opportunity, TJ. Thanks for your newsletter. It's awesome and helpful because we love looking for stuff to do with the kids. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Holly. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.